There's a groundbreaking new drug that trains your body's cells to fight cancer. It's called Keytruda.
It's pretty remarkable. You're literally seeing a doubling of how long they live.
It's now a lifeline for many, approved for over 16 different types of cancers. But there's more to this story. Keytruda's price, around $200,000 for a year of treatment, makes it one of the highest grossing drugs in the world. It re-cemented Merck as one of the world's most valuable companies. A staggering 40% of its sales, Keytruda. This is the American dream of medical innovation, isn't it? Companies invest heavily in research, and when they strike gold, the profits are astronomical. But here's the truth. Public funds laid the groundwork for Merck's reinvention. That's right. The groundbreaking technology fueling this transformation was funded by you, the American taxpayer. This story is about more than just developing drugs. It's about how big corporations build empires on public research meant for the greater good, using legal moves to block competition and keep prices high. And it's about what the government could finally do to fix it. The government spends billions on scientific research each year, and we let companies use it.
Congress passed a law called Bayh-Dole Act. It basically said that all the hundreds of billions of dollars that the federal government invests in basic research, if a private sector actor uses that research to create a new patent, it has the ability to go take that patent to market and make money off of it.
Think of it like this. The government discovers electricity, and then private companies then use that knowledge to invent and profit from light bulbs. But with Keytruda and dozens of other drugs, the government was also part of inventing the light bulb. Back in the late 90s, a researcher with federal funding discovered how our immune system makes its moves. Joining forces with a Japanese professor, they hit a breakthrough and snagged 6 patents. A Dutch conglomerate and a nonprofit then use those patents to create what becomes Keytruda. You'll notice that Merck hasn't been involved so far.
The early development was done primarily in academic institutions that were funded by governments and charities. It was through acquisitions of companies that Merck ended up owning rights that were related to the drug.
In 2009, Merck acquired Schering-Plough, who previously bought the human science division of that Dutch conglomerate I mentioned. In the closet collecting dust was Keytruda.
They thought this drug wasn't any good at all. And then Bristol-Myers had success with a very similar mechanism for a different drug. Then Merck went back and looked at Keytruda and brought it out to the market.
And Merck brings it to the market in a big way. They work with the government to fast-track its development, with the government paying about a quarter of the bill. The FDA approves it in 2014. And the thing is, Merck didn't invent Keytruda. They bought a company that did, using government-funded research. Their big task, getting FDA approval, which is more about paperwork. But one thing Merck did do was set the price, which is now almost $200,000.
It's imposing a big cost on the overall healthcare system. It raises the cost of insurance premiums. It raises the cost of taxes if you pay for it through Medicare or Medicaid. It's sucking money out of the healthcare system.
Right now, 1 out of every $5 spent on insurance premiums goes towards prescription drugs, and it's rising faster than any other medical expense, largely because of groundbreaking but expensive drugs like Keytruda.
In the most recent month, the sales were over $2 billion in 1 month.
Analysts predict it to reach nearly $3 billion a month. These massive sales numbers are enabled by one thing: keeping competitors away. Merck does this with patents, which let them be the only ones to sell Keytruda for 20 years. When their time's up, others can make similar drugs, which usually makes them cheaper. Keytruda's key patents expire in 2028, but Merck is trying to build a fortress of nearly 130 patents protecting every conceivable angle of Keytruda from competition. About a quarter of these are around the drug itself. The rest, well, 40% of these patents detail its production process, and another quarter secure its role in combating specific diseases. They're even reaching out into the cosmos. All of this to keep competition out. But how can the government stop this?
If a company is charging an unreasonable price, that is a basis for the federal government to march in and to license that patent to some other company or to some nonprofit entity that could charge far less for that product.
Remember the development of Keytruda I mentioned before, and those 6 key patents?
The federal government retains the ability under this Bayh-Dole Act to march in, which is really to say, we're taking this patent, and instead of you having the exclusive right to use the patented product, we're going to license it to somebody else who can potentially bring it to market on more reasonable terms.
Recently, the Biden administration threatened to use these rights to lower the price of drugs developed with federal funds.
What we have here from the Biden administration for the first time is a set of guidelines that says to the agencies, if you think that the prices that are being charged for these federally backed products is too high, you can use your marching authority to license that to somebody else who will provide it more cheaply. We think it's important that we finance research into these important life-saving drugs, but we're going to make sure that we're paying a reasonable price for them, because it's going to be a life or death difference for a lot of people.
And just like that, Keytruda's patent wall could come crashing down. Other companies can start selling cheaper versions of the same drug. Marching rights could be the sledgehammer.
This marching authority, in my opinion, is one of the most potent tools that the federal government has to help lower the cost of prescription drugs. The hope behind all of this is that that will lead preemptively to companies charging more fair prices, or at least not unreasonable prices, again, for products that we, the federal taxpayer, have helped finance. Now, of course, the question is going to be, are they actually going to use the authority that they've now granted themselves to march in on a drug or not? That'll be the next question.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. If you have ideas for stories you want us to uncover next, please drop them in the comments below.